Maia Pedro, the man who when he saw that an industry was on fire and in need of a hero to save it, he leapt at the opportunity to help. Maya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you very much for inviting me and for having me on this great podcast.
But maybe it makes sense to do like quick intro to you, your experience in the space.
So I've been keeping changing my career years over years. So I study biotechnology, nothing to do with tech. I went to conference. I worked in with conference. I work with renting places like Airbnb and these kind of things. And after I went up in Bolt, transportation mobility, urban mobility, I started as operations. I switched to marketing, and that was like my first experience with influencers. So in the beginning, there wasn't much information about how to deal with influencers, but there were like clear information of what we want from these influencers. It was like acquisition, like this pure acquisition model. And after I started to feel attracted by that and these areas, and after 4 years and something in Bolt, I was up to a new challenge. Basically, what makes me feel like vibrant and wanted to do something is the challenge itself. And in Bolt, it was the challenge. So it was a team of 150 people. When I left, it was like more than 3,000 and with a huge evaluation. And now Bitpanda was on a different phase, so they already have a good investment, and they were like super ready to have a massive growth. It wasn't like in the early stage as at Bolt; they were already in the next level, but they wanted to have a massive growth. And they created a perfect strategy for acquisition, like different departments, and influencers was one of the departments. And that is how I end up here. So basically, I built the strategy that they were passionate about it, and yeah, and I joined the company to try to implement that strategy.
Oh, maybe a good time to note too that everything Maya says in this episode is not like a. This is not from the mouth of Bitpanda. This is just Maya's like personal opinion and personal experience. Maybe worth noting in an industry like yours at the moment. So I'll let you take the wheel on Bitpanda. So what is Bitpanda? What's the growth story been like there for the company overall? And then we kind of set the stage for starting today with creators.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of some companies around investing in crypto and in these markets, and there is like 4 5 big players. There was the big wolf that goes to the markets, doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal, and it goes there and deals with all the problems and gets blocked and etc. And after there is Bitpanda with a good budget, and it's entering the markets, goes straight stock with the regulation, with the legal team. It wants to be in the market like 100% legal, so it can pass this confidence to the clients. And that was something that was different. It's an approach that they're like there's always two approaches. The hyper growth doesn't matter, like if it's illegal or legal, and you go for it and you are the number one.
Is there any like public metrics you can tell us about what growth has been like there? Like maybe I'm sure there's lots of stuff you can't tell me. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
let's just put that on the table. But yeah, I'm just curious. Like, so Bitpanda's funding journey, maybe, or just a couple like you want to flex on people for a second?
Yeah, so Bitpanda like is the first Austrian unicorn. So it's the first in the country. So it got really popular there.
Mm-hmm.
And after they started to make this European expansion, which you took longer than they expected because of these regulation things. So we just entering the market. If can we advertise in the market? Can you do this on market? No, you need a license. Okay, let's try to get the license. And this license sometimes can take like 1 year or more. Um, and uh, and yeah, I think the last funding that they got was like 250 million. And we have around 3 million customers. And we are looking basically like for the next 3 million customers. That was the idea,
Hmm.
not just on the crypto area, but also outside of the crypto area. Like, how can we prove that we are the safest platform in Europe to do that?
What has the last 9, 10 months been like for you there? What did you do first in relation to influencer marketing? Maybe we can kick off with starting as an influencer team lead in a company like this.
Yeah, so the idea is like was like to create everything from the scratch. So they didn't have anything. The local team did some campaigns, but there wasn't a clear KPIs between like France did X, Italy did and they weren't sharing information. So there wasn't a omni channel, if we want to say like this, from the data that we were receiving from these influencers. So the idea was to create a central structure where we can have all the data, and then we can take the best decisions based on the countries. Okay, like we know that in Italy this works, we know that in Spain this work, and if something worked in Spain, we can then replicate and create a playbook and do it in other countries. So the idea was like to create this central structure and do it everything from the scratch. So we couldn't do it. The hiring process and etc. was like usually it takes 3 to 4 months to hire a person and etc. Especially on this area. So we wanted to hire 2 people, but at the same time we achieved the conclusion that we needed the help of some agencies. So one of the process was like to find out which is the best agency for Bitpanda in Europe. The thing is here, like choosing an agency, it's really complicated because like influencers, it's an area that 90% doesn't look at the data. Most of them, they say that they look at the data. When you look up the data, they say reach. We look at the reach or something like this. But when I mention look at the data, it's like, okay, in our funnel, how many like signups we have, deposits we have, first trades we have, like what it means. It was which is the gender, which is, so it's like we need to process the data and understand which are the conclusions of this data, and not just like present a huge spreadsheet with a lot of numbers with no conclusion. In the end, just for conclusion, we end up choosing one in USA and one European company agency. So we went for two agencies. One was responsible more for Instagram and TikTok. Another was like a mix of TikTok and Instagram and YouTube.
Okay, so you found agencies in US and in Europe. You were focused on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It sounds like considered Twitch. Didn't go deep there. Do you continue to work with agencies mostly, or are you more in house now?
The idea is to change to in-house. That was always the idea. But in order to speed up, we hire the agencies. Unless the agency has a really good return of all of our investment, we could be possible. We'll still work with the agencies. But the idea is like use the agencies until we have everything profitable, and after with the time start to shift and be like 50-50, and after in-house 100%.
Okay, so after you've made some of those decisions about countries, you've locked in the agencies to help you accelerate faster. What does process building look like? Like you as the clever marketing team lead who joins to set up this function, what are the first kind of maybe process decisions you make?
Yeah, so the first thing is that Bitpanda also as Bolt loves data and wants to track everything. We need to implement proper programs and set up everything in order to us to be able to track. Because if we want to have like a super lean acquisition program, we need to have the right tools to track everything. We made a huge search on the market to try to understand which could be the platform that could help not just influencers but also the affiliate marketing team and other teams. That could be like at least 3 teams could be using this tool to track the system. The whole process, it took like 1 month and a half. It's like it's because it's like one program does this, other does that, other. It's like it's really complicated, and the setup of this in our current system, it's also painful. Like you need to have developers available for you, you need to have product owners available for you to
Hmm.
set up this tool. So it's like it's not that easy, but it's absolutely crucial. So as soon as we have this done, which were hard, especially the setup of the system. It's defining the countries that we want to do, and after was trying to understand like what was the goal of the company, and the goal of the company is like we want to conquer as much as possible users, okay, and what could be the strategy, and then the idea was like to build the strategy for us to test in 3 markets and after replicate to the rest of the countries. And so we already know that eventually, if we're going to use influencers in the crypto space, it will work because it's our currently 3 million users are like more than 80% are male and crypto fans, so they are super aware of the crypto world. So the strategy was that like how can we conquer the next 3 million of users that is completely different from the ones that we have. And we come up with some ideas, and some of these ideas was like, okay, if 80% of our user base is male, it's why that is happening. And if you make a simple research on TikTok, like if you search for crypto and etc., you always will see like a male person talking and explaining crypto and explaining finance and etc. Maybe you are having these results because the people that are explaining are not oriented to another type of targets. Okay, so let's try to find out the influencers that have a different target and a different audience that could reach to that potential. So we defined it to have like 4 audience here, and one to be more safe was the crypto fans. Another one that is like gaming, and after the other tools was like women, but women entrepreneurs. They are self-employees, or they created a business, or they have some story about that. They usually share their journey and they have some success. So and then and after was the same. So there were more people that, like, let's call it QOL, like people that were experts on their fields, but more related to business, but not crypto or gaming.
I think this is actually a super important point, if I can cut you off, because when we talk to crypto startups or people who had launched tokens in the past or whatever, anything in the industry that was getting into influencer marketing, they're always stuck on the idea of only working with people who are talking about crypto. And we always had the same conversation with those leads, which was like, one, you're going to pay a preposterous amount of money for the people who are actually talking about this space, because they understand that there's not a lot of them, and that they're all charging really crazy numbers. And everybody is thinking the same way in that sense. So you're just hitting another audience with a similar product every single time. And then the audience of those people it tends to be limited too, because especially going a few years back, people didn't know what crypto is. And so the moral of the story here is there are topics and themes adjacent to your core business that include your core business but aren't explicitly your core business. So working with people in business, women entrepreneurs, people in gaming who are early technology adopters. These are like really great examples of how you can get one step adjacent to the core business and still have a relevant person to tell the story. And I think it's just a super important point, because more people than you might think don't figure that out for themselves, actually.
And you mentioned something, a word that is specific, is the story. Because when you use these crypto fans, because you use your target, you basically, it can be a static content or a video content, and you know that the person just needs to talk about your platform and that's it. But when you are talking with this different type of audience, like, then you need to have a storytelling around. You cannot just post one. So, and that was the second thing. Like, how can we use these influencers, and how should we create a message that is able to reach this one? Because we cannot just grab an influencer that usually talks about babies and talk this and say like, hey, by the way, buy crypto. And that is the storytelling. Like in this case, we create a 3 posts, 3 phases content. I'll give just the awareness of the woman entrepreneur because it was the hardest, because you need some education on this. So the first step is like we need to have these meetings with these influencers and explain what is the product, what is everything. So the person that will speak to the camera, it's 100% confident of what he or she is speaking about. Then we create this storytelling. And the first one is like, try to connect to some moment in their life? Was there any period that you made some decision and you needed to save money, or you needed to do this or that? So the first was just create the seed there, was not talking directly about Bitpanda. The second one was more like, oh, there is this platform and there is like these options, it's safe, you can educate. And it was more like, use our platform to educate yourself, because Bitpanda has a department that is called Academy, where if you make like simple courses, you can earn €5 in coins. So like, we are paying you to educate yourself. And the third one usually was already a push to action. It was like, so like, I imagine green screen, person explain, hey, I did this, it's really easy, blah 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 blah, and simple easy steps, how she did, or what can be done, and etc., and showing the process. It cannot be just make a video, talk about the product, and that's it. So there was storytelling, which took us like 3 to 4 weeks to execute, and basically that was the strategy that we came up to try to go to an area that is not a crypto area, that is completely different from what we wanted, but because we are willing to find out the next niche, and that was the idea. You need to have the financial capacity to say, yeah, we want to find out the next niche. Like, here is a safe spot, but we want to explore some areas, because if we found some niche, we'll grab it. We found another, we'll grab it, and after niche after niche.
Yeah, and while that may be expensive, like it can be expensive, I think for companies that don't have the deep pockets to run the experiment in maybe a bigger way like you guys did, the way to think about this is it might be equally or more expensive to not run the experiment. It's like, so you're just going to compete for another crypto, like another person who only talks about crypto. Every second video is sponsored by a different coin or exchange, and their prices are super crazy high, and they're just saturating the same audience over and over again. I think this can be expensive in its own way, whereas exploring those other niches, this was going to be the ticket to find those additional users, actually.
I don't think that it's expensive to explore new niches, because like, if you have influencers from 10K to 60K, 80K followers, like, they usually don't cost much.
They're just excited to have
Um,
a sponsor, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, I don't think it's that expensive. It needs to be tailor made per influencer. You cannot just grab one and okay, let's try this. Like, you need to understand how this person talks, what she likes to do, what is her approach, what she feels comfortable, and etc., and make a tailor plan for her.
You mentioned that you had these kind of onboarding calls. You didn't go just PDF brief right in the beginning. Did you have a thought process around that? Like how much we can invest time-wise per creator? Was there an objective eventually to kind of get it to be more automated in that sense? Or was the plan always to build really tight relationships one-to-one with every creator? How did that start? How did you think about it? And then how did it evolve over time?
For the area that was already our area, the crypto and etc., it was more easy to just use a briefing. But the briefing, it needs to be self-explanatory. So like, what is the company? What are the core values? You shouldn't just throw content on that briefing. You should like one slide of who you are, and what are your values, one slide of what you are expecting from the influencer, and the third one maybe like do's and don'ts, like what we want, what we don't want, and that's it. Like 3 pages, five. No, any other influencer read more than 3 pages of a briefing. Like, and the first one, our company, for sure they will pass it.
Yeah.
The second slide I think is really important, and this is not just for acquisition strategies, like awareness strategies, is the expectations. Because most of the influencers that you work when you are small or you are starting is like, you feel some emotion attached. Like, influence is an area that is super emotional. I like this one. Oh, I don't feel that one is good. But the data can prove. But most of the decisions when you are younger or you are just started, is like, it's more emotional than data driven. So even if it's emotional or not, one thing that needs to be 100% crucial is like, you need to have the expectations aligned with the person. It doesn't matter if you're awareness. Like, I'm expecting, if you have, I don't know, 10K followers, and I saw that your engagement rate is 2% or something like this, so I'm expecting to have this reach and this amount of comments. This is me sharing with you what I'm expecting. Because like, if the influencer after says, hey, do you want to work with me again? you already can say, like this was my expectation. Like we didn't align. Okay, I need to move on. If it was good, so then yes, let's do it. Like the influencer feels more happy because, oh, good, it was supposed to be, I don't know, X amount of comments, and I got the double. So like, let's do it. And you also feel comfortable to increase the influencer budget. So you are also like making the influencer happier. Align expectations, or at least share your expectations. It's an obligation in my perspective. And the other ones, like women entrepreneurs and this kind of business, it was different. Some cases the influencers didn't have time to have these calls. It's not always easy to have this. Other times they have the opportunity. It's a 50-50, like PDF with the briefing, and with the ones that they are able and they feel it, do the call. But we always wanted to make a long-term relation. So we prefer to have fewer influencers and create a longer relationship. But both strategies are good. Like there is times that it makes 100% sense to have all the influencers, because your model is not a fixed fee. It's just, I don't know, it depends.
Got you. Okay. And today, is it similar? Is it similar in that sense where it's like you've some pieces are more highly automated, so like your crypto segment is like relatively automated, and then and then maybe in some cases you have to be like women entrepreneurs, but most cases still have at least like one call maybe to express what the product is.
It's hard to have this call, being completely honest and transparent. Like most of the times you are speaking with the agent, it depends of who you are talking. Like less than 100K they are able to do wherever, or 150K they are followers, they are able to do wherever you want because they feel motivated. If it's more, depending on the country, then it starts to have, you need to show the money. You need to show the money. You don't want to show the money, you just want to prove that you are here for a long-term relation, and this is something that we want to build together. And you start to create the relation with the agency, then you can move and speak directly to the influencer. But it's not always possible. I would say like 50% of the times was possible, or less. So it's important to have this briefing really good, 3 pages or less, and clear to what you have. Right now, like I would say the last couple of influencers, we are not able to have the call. But imagine there is one influencer that most probably will start working that is really high, like more than 1 million followers and etc. It's a different strategy, but the CEO knew a guy that knew him, so we decided like to make the bridge and etc. It was a different scenario. It depends, there is case by case, but if it's possible, do it the video call. If not possible, like try to have the briefing.
You mentioned that when you first set up tools and this kind of thing, you had to involve devs and so on, and I think it was around this tracking piece.
The whole system that Bitpanda was using was not like 100% efficient. Like we could not track everything properly. So we decided like which tool can we implement that is will not just work for Google Analytics, will not just Facebook Pixel that you install it and that's it, you track everything. So you need a much higher complicated funnel.
Right. So what you were really trying to figure out is how do you get the internal data pipelines strong enough or clear enough so that you can say this creator drove this many signups, who then also this many converted to actually submitting a deposit, for example, and then this many maybe did a transfer within a month. Those kind of like very core metrics to the business model's health. And the problem was hacking together the user analytics, which I think is a problem everybody has when you start out with this, to get those numbers kind of oriented properly. Is that decent summary?
Yeah, 100% that, because it's not just like e-commerce that you can just like, if the card is abandoned, if they check out, like, the phases, it's pretty simple. But with Bitpanda, and when you have a website and an app on Android and iOS, with a lot of changes in iOS, and when you have like different systems for deposits, you have different systems for this and that. So how can you have a platform? Because it wasn't everything centralized in one Shopify store or something like this, So it's completely different. And that was the challenge. Like how fast can we have it, at least the minimum guarantee that if one influencer using a tracking link, we will know like number of signups, and from this number of the there is a process that know your customer.
So maybe I'll ask you like a very, what might seem like a very basic question, but why track those additional stages in the funnel? Why not just say, hey boss, I got 10 million signups this week? Why track the additional stages in the funnel? And then once you explain that part, maybe you can say, how do you use that information later? How does it change your behavior over time when you see what's happening in the funnel?
Yeah, that's a great question, in fact, because I believe that a lot of people are just looking for the signups, and the signups doesn't is not like equal revenue for the company, So, and for an awareness campaign or something, yeah, that could be one metric to track. You don't need to go like further in the funnel. But if you are building a super data-driven acquisition strategy, you need to know exactly who is bringing the money to back to the company. And in order to do that, like what's bringing you money is not the sign up, it's not the know your customer, it's not the deposit, it's the trade. So it's the last step of the whole funnel. So that was our goal. We call it the new activate traders, and it's a name that is nuts, not
Okay, okay.
nuts, but nuts. It's an internal. It's always funny when you join the company and you have this kind of terms. And why is important for us? I understood that was important for us to have the full spectrum of this funnel, because you can have one influencer that is like super good in creating this awareness, this sign up phase, let's call it like that. Let's give a straight example. So you hire 3 influencers, okay? You have one influencer, you make a campaign with them, and you find out that you didn't make any deposit, any nothing, but the signups were like really good. And after, you have the rights to use his content for the next like 6 months. So let's grab this content, let's go to paid media, and let's like boost this content to have the most signups that we can. And now we need to find out like how can we do the rest. Okay, and imagine we have the influencer number 3. I'll just be quicker, but he didn't create much signups. Like it was low number, let's say 5. But from these 5 signups, 2 or 3 made the first trade immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was a bad influencer because he didn't brought like 100 signups as the other one. It
Yeah.
was just 5, but these 5 made the until the last funnel. So maybe his content is more directed to other kind of things. So we could grab his content and advertise him to the 100 people like that sign up here, and being like 1 month just pumping this content to this other guy. And after, you start to understand that that one content worked really good for sign up, other content worked really good for another, and this is how you can like leverage the best of each influencer in order to have like the best acquisition campaign. Like it's really hard to have one influencer that works good in all the layers of the funnel. Most of the times we need people looking at this data to understand this, because if you see an influencer just 5 signups, you say, oh, this is not good, I don't like it, okay, forget it. But you see, if you see that 3 of these 5 signups generated income, there is a sign here, let's explore it. And this is where data can help us a lot, but not all the companies are able to do this or understand this, because you have the data, but sometimes you don't know what to do with this type of data.
Totally, yeah. And I think like you mentioned Shopify stores and that kind of thing earlier too. This advice can be adapted to different types of companies, whether you're in SaaS or you're doing consumer apps or fintech or whatever the thing is. There's a way to adapt this. So one example that we see a lot is early stage Shopify stores, for example. Maybe they've only done like tens of thousands of revenue a year. Then they start doing influencer marketing and they get a ton of web traffic. Maybe their traffic picks up really, really strongly, but then they say influencer marketing sucks. They call me. They're like, "This is the worst channel ever," and I'm like, "You're breaking my heart here. I've dedicated my life to this," and so we talk for a little while, and I'm like, "Well, hey, while we were in the call, I went to your website and I tried to buy something on my phone and I couldn't because your checkout doesn't work on mobile." Having this data and being aware of the whole funnel, it teaches you so much fundamentally. It will help you to not misconstrue what's happening inside the funnel, because your first assumption might be influencers suck, or this influencer sucks, or that what, like these really broad sweeping hypotheses, when really it's like, oh, the app store doesn't, like, we're not live in the app store in Brazil, that's why we didn't get any downloads.
It's funny that you mentioned that. As a side hustle, I have a beverage drink. Is a hard seltzer, which is
Seltzer, right? Yeah.
just short notice. Is It's alternative to beers and ciders, and it has less calories, less sugar, and etc. And exactly what you are saying. Like in the first we are using this type of influencer, and we generated a lot of traffic. Like I remember it was like 6K to 10K per month in traffic, but it wasn't generated on the conversion. What we changed is like we started to use influencers like on the real examples of life. Like I'm here with my people on my couch, but not straight to the camera, just like showing the product in the moment that they are happy. That was the solution, and not like promoting directly, because that was what made people go to the website. But showing the product, because sometimes people need to understand like where, okay, I have this product, but when do I drink it? It should be in the afternoon. When should I be it? Sometimes people need to see themselves in the moment, and enjoying the moment, and they want to replicate that moment in their lives. So the strategy was that we grab a few influencers, and we made this content more about lifestyle content, showing the product and etc. And then the add to the card, and the second moment start to pump up. So yeah, it's a good example also for what you said.
Yeah, totally. Like there, these funnels, having that data there, and you don't need to track. I think some people go the other way and they get analysis paralysis. So there's a really great rule that I like, at least in early stages when you're collecting data. Maybe you can tell me if I'm being foolish here, as a more senior marketer than myself. Um,
So,
the rule is, if you don't know how the data could change your behavior, it's bad data. So don't go too far in the over analysis side. Make sure that you know why you're tracking stuff and how it will change your behavior later, depending on what the results are. But there's so many cool things you can do. Like, I was so excited to hear you talk about paid, and I was thinking, maybe Bitpanda has done this, but you can also train your influencers on which creative drives which thing. So in the case of like the examples you gave, one drives deposits and one drives signups. It's like, if you can teach the guy who can drive signups how to get his audience to drive deposits, now you've laid the golden egg. And you
yeah,
can, yeah.
100%, 100%. I remember when we started, that was the key. So we wanted to create, if imagine that the segment is woman entrepreneur. When I joined, I was like, what are the four main points for Bitpanda, the unique selling points for Bitpanda? And I was told, and that's okay, let's tailor made this for the influencers. And after, the idea was like, imagine points A, B, and C. And we wanted to create A points, A1, A.2, and A.3, and it was different ways, like sentence or way to explain the product. And after we gave this A1 to the influencer of this type, like woman entrepreneur, and we gave the B1 also to the other, and see which one it works. And after we tested, so exactly what you are saying. So we wanted to help the influencer to understand which type of message will work best. Because after, if I know for a woman entrepreneur that the A2 is the one that works best, when I'm going to approach a new influencer already, like, and it's similar to this one, I already know, okay, A2 is the one for you. So if you like it, we'll like you to move with A2, because it's the one that we already work best. And then you are helping the influencer to perform better for you, because in the end, like, they are people and they need to be teaching in their areas. So if they are really good in working with beverage and etc., and suddenly Bitpanda appears where they don't know nothing, if I'm able and I have data to prove that I have similar profiles that I worked with and it worked good, so why not? Like, I believe that the influencers are always able to, like, get these insights and be able to work.
Yeah, totally. And especially when you have long term relationships, a couple things that we've seen work well are Bolt does this for sure. For example, they have a landing page for ambassadors on their website. And it's not something that like four engineers had to put together and build. It's built with like a simple Google Sites tool. And um, it includes, for example, like some inspirational content. This is a really great example. You want to streamline your whole recruitment flow? Tell influencers what kind of content is working. They don't have to now like think of everything themselves. They can just see, oh, this works. I can like put my spin on some creative I know that will work, will and therefore will drive the success metric, and therefore I win and the brand wins and everyone's happy. So yeah, it's super interesting to have those metrics in order to apply creative as well.
Yeah, and if you have these examples that you can provide to the influencer, especially when you are small, like for sales, or what I did was basically a Word document, and I
Hmm.
put the idea, and after I showed like 5 to 6 videos of what is this, like what is, I don't know, other companies are doing, like other products are doing, and he could understand the message based on the videos that I showed. So you just need to show examples that you like, and the influencer will understand the message and replicate it directly to your product. So it's
Yeah, absolutely. I've done this in campaigns like pre Modash. Then when I was running campaigns manually, I would just put a Google Doc together and I would make like hypothetical content basically. Like grab a Instagram photo that looks like maybe totally wrong topic maybe, but would like similar creative style would
yeah.
make sense. I would write a fake caption and I would put the hashtags and stuff that were necessary in a different color so people could understand the requirements and stuff too. It's it doesn't have to be rocket science. The information just has to be available, and that's how you smooth out this funnel. What boxes do you always have to check when a piece of content goes up for you guys? Is there certain kind of things you have to make sure the person has done, or how does that work?
Yeah, so this is the hardest area in Bitpanda, because like I said, like we want to do everything
By the
legal,
book.
and we
Hmm.
want by the book, and we want to create strong relations with the entities, with Italy, with Spain, and etc. It doesn't matter if we have the crypto license but we don't have the marketing license, or we don't have the other one. And most of the cases they don't have yet regulation for that, or I don't know, it depends of the case. So like in our case, we have a we build a spreadsheet with all the rules that we have per country, per area. It depends
Nice.
if it's crypto influencers, if it's crypto ads, if it's I don't know, commodities, other areas. So we have all these, and basically, which are the rules that we need to comply with that. Like it depends. I like for influencers, when I joined, was a little bit like, well, we can move forward. We just need to have some disclaimers on the landing page, and we are good to go. Other case, in the middle of the journey, it changed a little bit, and in some countries, I don't know, I'll give Spain as example. Like we need to have in the video a disclaimer that occupies like 20% of the video or of the image,
Oh wow.
which is 20% is a lot, and
Yeah.
it doesn't stay as good to have a full sentence on the TikTok video, like always in the corner, like rules like if the video eventually passes the 100K, then you need to pre-approve the video. So the best way is to you to always think, or at least predict, if it will have the video will have more than 100K views. Show the video to the entity, they approve it, and after the influencer can post it. So it's a bit tricky this area. Every country is it's have their own regulations,
Mm.
and sometimes we need to understand if we are in the mood to go a little bit more friendly, which means like there is a gray area and we are not sure and the regulations are not clear, and we move on. And after,
Yeah.
if something occurs, then we try to adapt. There is other cases that we know we need to be super strict, and we need to understand clear if we need to go to, I don't know, right or left.
Yeah.
So it depends of the cases. Like there is governments that are more willing to, okay, go with that, there is no problem. There are others that are super strict. I know, like Spain is super strict because it's a new area, and they are just grabbing like, okay, gambling is like this, so it will be the same. But then you need to adapt. But it's really hard for influencers because usually, they apply the rules that they use it on ads, on TV ads, on radio, and etc. And they apply the same rules for influencers. But influencers, they have live video. How can I put the banner in the live video? How do I know if a 10K follower influencer is gonna have a video that increases the 100K? And if it increases, it was a huge success organically. Like, what should I do now? Like, I wasn't expecting, you
I'm
know.
sorry, my video did so well.
Exactly. The thing is that this technology is moving so fast, and the governments are just like, they don't have time to catch up, because when you decide a rule, like you need to have all the 300 scenarios in your mind. So the best way is to you to grab the one that you already know that is like full bulletproof,
Yeah.
and just make a small change to the other. But sometimes it doesn't work like that.
So for other folks who are trying to play by the book here, then you described, I really like this idea of a spreadsheet with just all the country things. So let's break down this workflow a little bit. So first, we know the country that we're launching in. We can take Spain. Then we define the regulatory criteria that we have to follow. Do you have like a clear source for this? I mean, I'm sure at Bitpanda you have like giant legal team internally, but any good resources that you can think of, how people can figure out, should they call the local representative and ask them what to do?
How we do is, like, imagine you have one country name, and after we have different products. So we have crypto, we have stock options, we have commodities, we have metals. Okay, and what is the rule of each one? And what is the rule if we are just talking about Bitpanda as a company, if we are talking about three products, if we are talking about invest with us, if we use the word invest. So we have different scenarios, like, and after it's exactly like you said, it's a tick box. So it's like you put it like, okay. So there is a like green light. Yes, you can promote crypto and say the word invest. Yes, you can do that. But in order to do that, this is the disclaimer that you need to add on the image, with 20% occupying in the image, and that's it. But regarding the where to search, I think maybe we could use the help of the new chat.
Oh, Chat GPT. Okay. Right.
So, and
Yeah.
maybe because in the past couple of months, I've been using more the chat than the Google, because like when I search for something special, legal terms, there is so much information that you don't know what to rely on, and usually the chat, he makes a filter of what is correct. To be honest, I'm not the one searching for that. I just try to. That part is more with the platforms, with the social platforms like Facebook and TikTok, to understand what are their rules, and what we need to comply with, and etc. And not the legal rules. That is more for legal. But yeah, advice would be the chat GPT.
Got you. How do you communicate this to the creator and actually get them to execute properly?
We didn't have many problems here, to be honest. When you are speaking, like I said, like 50% of the people didn't want to work in this area, because it's crypto, it's gambling. I know the world is falling down, and it's because of crypto, something like this. So the ones that wanted to work with us is because they feel confident. Now, I'm not saying the crypto fans, but the and so they are willing to do the things right, and they don't want to mess up with this, because they know, like, okay, this is regulation. It's not just a game that you mentioned. It's low calories and not low carb or something like this. That is
Yeah.
like no difference. No, here, like, you need to use this disclaimer. And for example, one thing that we could guarantee is, like, all the content needs to be pre-approval by us.
Hmm.
So
So you do pre-approval on every piece of content.
yes, no chance for another way, no chance for another way. And one of the things that we did is, like, so the agency was reviewing the content, I was reviewing the content, the local team was reviewing the content, because the local team have sometimes more knowledge in terms of legal. And if it's all good, then yes, we can proceed. Sometimes it's it's hard because they make a one shot video and there is a sentence in the middle that says like if you invest you'll be successful or
You'll be
something
a
like this, and I'm
millionaire.
just
Yeah.
and I say like, I'm sorry, no, we cannot go with this, you need to change it. My audience will like it, yes, but my legal team will not. So we need to adapt, but yeah, reviewing the content it's one of the key measures, and to have the do and don'ts on the briefing.
Gotcha.
It's the other strategy. Of course, like I'll not say that everything went perfect. No, there is mistakes. If you do and you are able to comply with everything that you know, is already good. From what you don't know, you need to just adapt and try to move on. Like
That makes perfect sense. So you have on this just a boring little detail on the content review process. How did you actually move those files around? Where did you store them? The very like basic um,
yeah,
PDF spreadsheets.
so there is two ways. We have one platform that basically the influencer signups. So there is like, yeah, the influencer sign up, great. And after the influencer receives, okay, here is your task. Create one video content and one story. And we send the task automatically to the influencer.
Did you do this with Monday.com or something?
No, it's a sub-platform from Impact, which is
Okay.
Activate,
Hmm.
and allow us to do this. So you sign up, you receive your task. He produces the post and the story. So he needs, I don't know, to upload to a Google Drive or some link, or
Hmm.
he can upload the file directory. He uploads the file. I receive an email saying, oh, the two of three or three of three are tasks are completed. I go there, I download, I check it, I pass it to the team, and I say, okay, move on. The next for the publications should be this, or I agree with the influencer. You have a shot if you don't have another channel of communication. If you make the task, we approve, and then like he make the publication, and it's already like he signed up with the social networks, so we have access to the social metrics. We don't need him or her or it or whatever to share some screenshot or something like this. We are able to just to have access to everything straight from the point. And the other alternative, because there is some influencers that don't want to sign up on this platform, in this case we use spreadsheets. It's the yeah links, tabs, and yeah, just a beautiful spreadsheet to you to organize and move on and tick boxes.
Marketing people, no matter how hard we try, we always end up back in spreadsheets. Yeah.
Yes, I think we should build everything around spreadsheet, like kind of plugins or extension or add-ons there is, but much more evolved
Totally
on
agree. Yeah.
spreadsheet.
So yeah, and I think for then companies maybe like less apt to buy like a giant enterprise tool to manage this. I think you really can accomplish a lot of it with Google Forms. Maybe Google Form and a spreadsheet. Google Form, upload your content here. It goes to Google Drive. It's basically free to use. You can have a spreadsheet with complete these tasks and click the box once you've done that. You'll get an email from the sheet automatically that says the user has already edited something in the spreadsheet. It's going to be like a perfect flow. And I think if you're just starting out, you probably don't even need to like so granularly track this process. But
Yeah, and like be honest with everyone. Like this is the scenario that I told you. It's kind of a beautiful scenario, right? But it works 50% of the time. So like,
yeah,
like being honest, completely transparent. Like
yeah,
when you are small is not that different when you are a huge
yeah,
enterprise or something. Because like I'm using Google for 50% of the other cases, like Google Forms or whatever. Like you said, you can build a Google website and use it for sign up. You receive all the information. The information goes straight to a spreadsheet. You have all the information in the spreadsheet. You have tick boxes, and that's it. So, like, even if you have 1K or 100K, in the end, it's like what it works for you. But well, like I said, this is the perfect scenario that this platform, but not always it works, because the influencers sometimes they don't want to sign up, they just want to move fast, like
very
and
common.
do it,
Yeah,
and you need to have to go for the workaround. So like if someone wants to move, Like, don't wait to have the perfect platform, the perfect this, the perfect, oh, that would be great to track and everything. Like, just work with what you have, because even these enterprises are working in the same way, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just about once you understand the system you're actually trying to build, everything feels so much easier. It's like once you actually like spend a couple minutes at the whiteboard and say, okay, so what do I need to do? I kind of need to pick people that reach my target audience. I kind of need to outreach to them somehow. Then I need them to do the thing that I want them to do. So I need to communicate like clearly and have a brief, maybe, whatever. If you map that journey, it's not as complicated as it can seem to like, oh, we need to partner with 1 trillion influencers this year. It's like, well, no, really, you need to find 10 people who reach your target audience. That's the first thing you need to do.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, with the Google tools that you currently have and are for free, you are able to do all that. Like, you can make your small research on the influencer that you want to work. You like the way they speak and etc. Okay, let's do it. This, let's put on the spreadsheet and try to make some analysis here. You can use Google website. You can use Google form. Like, you have everything there. Like, there is no need to go with this super tracking everything platform that do 1,000 things. But after there is just an error on the API from Facebook and everything goes down.
Yeah, yeah,
And you
exactly.
need you need to use the rudimental or the normal, which is the normal, like, spreadsheet or something. There was cases that was that, like, the influencer couldn't sign up because he didn't accepted some terms and conditions long time ago from Facebook business, blah blah blah. So sometimes there is like this situation, you need to move fast. So, like, okay, just go for the other way and that's it.
Maybe you could just riff a little bit on generally at Bitpanda now, like how many creators are you working with approximately that you can actually tell me? Any kind of like what are you most proud of maybe in your program, and just how if you could tell us a bit, how does the process work today? You're talking to me. Let's say you're interviewing me as your next influencer manager, and you're going to tell me like the general overview how this thing works. Then what do you say?
Yeah. So with the market sentiment, we change a little bit the strategy. So we are working with 30 to 40 influencers. Um,
On a monthly basis?
yeah. So, and now we are changing our strategy a little bit, and we are trying to understand, like, because there was budget reduction, so like normal. So we just want to have the best ones, and we are not able to try out other ones. So the strategy changed a little bit, and there is some markets that are high priority versus other markets. Will not work with a lot of influencers as we were thinking because of the changes, and influencer marketing is it's an area where we feel a lot this market sentiment. So, like, it's not easy for you to say, like, hey, come spend some money with us, when everybody is saying, like, please save your money. And now what we are doing also is, like, also helping the local team investigating some influences. For example, if we do some partnerships with I don't know, with other companies or not, and etc. And in order to launch this new feature or this product, we want to use influencers. We help them to make the whole research about the influencer, like fake audience, etc., to see if as influencer that makes sense. And after we give the green light. So now we are not just an acquisition channel, we also try to help the other parts of the company, because, like, we have different products. We have white label products, we have Bitpanda Pro, we have different products, and sometimes they want to do some campaign with influencers and they just need our inputs or our help to get the influencers. We have a kind of support function to other departments also, and it's not just focus purely on acquisition, on the department itself. Number of influencers that we plan to work, it depends. It will be around 30 to 40, I would say. Like, if you want a number, it will not be much more than that. And I guess, like, we can have 5% more than 500K followers,
Okay.
because that ones are the ones for are not good for acquisition most of the cases, or are hard for acquisition, or could be a mix, but most of the cases are more awareness, unless something
Hmm.
really good come up. But for acquisition, it's better to have these small ones because their audience is more specific and etc.
Anything you're in your whole your experience at Bitpanda setting this up and scaling it up a little bit, agencies, whatever the topic might be, I'm curious, is there something that you're particularly proud about having figured out that other people could steal from you?
One of the learnings we already shared is like we had this platform to sign up, to make the contract, to make everything. It was perfect. And then like 50% of the influencers no. So we need the Google Word with the contracts, and we need to sign via DocSign. We needed to use a spreadsheet to track everything. So one learning is like, doesn't matter how good your platform is, like, yeah, be aware that you really need to have a lean process on the other side of the coin, on spreadsheets, on these kind of things. So that is a learning that you can have. Like, it will not save you all the time. So like, I think it was important for us to educate the influencers, like, because what is the learning here? Most of the time when you speak with the influencer have some self auto-esteem, like they are confident about what they do, is why they speak to the camera, and when they do this, there are millions of people following what they say, so they feel comfortable. So when you tell them to do something, they say, "No, I know my way. Do it like this. I know what I'm doing," and etc. Blah, blah, blah. So they have this kind of speech. So understanding, like, how can you dialogue, how can you speak with the influencer in order to, like, I'm not saying that you are wrong. That's not the case. I'm just suggesting and telling you that there is some learnings on our part that could help you to grow. The way you speak, it should be add on of what the influencer is saying, and not, no, don't do that. And they'll feel like super comfortable doing more things that what is supposed to you to do, because like they know there is a win-win here. So that could be one conclusion also.
It's such a pleasure to get to chat with folks like you and learn something. And yeah, so I appreciate your time, Maia. Everybody should check out Bitpanda, but also seltzer.io.
Yeah.
Get yourself some low-calorie alcohol it's alcoholic beverage, right? But just low calorie,
yeah.
taste delicious.
4.5%. Yeah. Low
Yes.
calorie. Yeah. Thank you for that. And thank you, of course. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's really good to share these insights, because I think like we have just general information in the internet is really hard. So I hope like the GPT will grab some some information from this and can use it to spread the word. So I'm
Yes.
really glad that you invite me to be here, and that this podcast can be useful for a lot of people working with influencers.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I hope it's useful. We'll definitely get better every episode. It's like Elon said about Twitter, we're going to screw up a lot of things in the next few months, but we'll figure out some good stuff along the way. And that's kind of the idea of
Yeah.
the show as well. So
Good
thanks,
sentence.
man. Let's click that stop button, seltzer.io.